Morning everyone, welcome to Monday's Thought for the Day. Hope you've had a refreshing weekend and ready to start the week. When I was a child, Sunday was a very different day to the rest of the week. Perhaps some of my generation who are watching this, or an older generation, might remember that. All the shops were closed, no sports events were held, there was certainly no Sunday football, the streets were quiet. And in my family, my sister and I weren't allowed to go out to play on a Sunday. We occasionally went out for a walk with our parents in our Sunday best clothes, but we couldn't play out. And I remember friends calling for me to go out and me pleading with my parents to go out to play. But the answer was more often than not, no, you can't, it's Sunday. On the very, very rare occasions when they relented, I think it's when I wouldn't shut up, I was allowed out to play. But I soon found myself feeling guilty, unable to enjoy myself, and quickly ended up going back home. And I remember things like we couldn't cut our nails or wash our hair on a Sunday, but I think these became sort of more aspects of superstition rather than any real observances, because when we asked why it was we couldn't do certain things, the answer was often that it would bring bad luck. But there was an observance of the day, however confused the motives for it were. And I was thinking about the Sabbath, the Shabbat, and how little we seem to regard it these days. In the Jewish faith, it's seen as a centerpiece of Jewish life, a day of rest and celebration that begins on Friday at sunset and ends the following evening at sunset. It is essentially setting aside one day a week to rest. And as Christians, we have traditionally set aside Sunday as a day of rest, which we call our Sabbath. Of course, the origins of the Sabbath are in Exodus chapter 20. It says, "Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labour and do all your work, but the seventh is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns." And it's the fifth commandment. But how often do we stress it? How often do we acknowledge it? And it's often been used negatively. There were some aspects of that negative use within my family as a means of stopping people doing things, using it in a very sort of restrictive, legalistic way. And of course, Jesus came across those who took this approach. Remember, he was criticized for healing on the Sabbath. But what he did do is that he reminded us that the Sabbath was made for humankind and not humankind for the Sabbath. He recognized, as the commandment recognized, that people need rest. In fact, science shows that people are more productive if they have appropriate rest. But God knew that anyway, didn't he? And in today's world, no one would criticize those who want to be active and work every day of the week. In fact, they're often admired. On my trips to the States, this is something that's really seems to be imbued in the American psyche. Work, and little rest. Most workers have very little holiday. My nephew over there, he's a teacher, works incredibly long hours. And there are of course also those who have no choice but to work every day because they're paid so poorly, and to do so, they do so in order to survive or out of fear because they might lose their jobs. But what is it that causes us to ignore that need for Sabbath? What causes us to be effectively restless? And I mean restless in its widest sense: physical, psychological, emotional. Have we become a society of 24/7 multitasking in order to achieve and accomplish, perform and possess? A global society that never has time to rest, a society that doesn't even rest the land but constantly has to make it deliver even when it's impoverished. There seems to be no real place to keep the Sabbath holy. And the pursuit of money seems to be ceaseless. Its focus is constant growth. Growth always has to increase year by year. And we measure our success by something called GDP, gross domestic product, and we look to it, it's become our security. But it's a false one, isn't it? It can't be a measure of our happiness. It can't measure the health of the earth. It can't measure justice or fair distribution of gifts of the earth. And needs and desires that are created by the market leave us endlessly restless, can lead us feeling inadequate and unfulfilled, and in pursuit of more of that which might satisfy those desires, but they rarely do. We have to have more. We have to own more. We have to be more. So we have to produce more, to consume more. It's pretty vicious circle. But all life needs recovery. Without rest, a human can't live. It brings physical, emotional and psychological recovery. If we don't rest, we won't survive. Rest is a precondition for life. But it also gives us time to reflect rather than react constantly. The commandment was given for recovery, not just for yourself or ourselves, but for everyone, the family, the workers, even the animals. And that recovery is holy. Its rest is holy. And there's a rhythm in creation, isn't it? It's marked by day and night. The day for work and the night is for recovery. But one day needs to be marked for rest, a holy day. The 24-hour cycle has a rhythm, and the 7 days also have a rhythm. The seasons have a rhythm, although our endless pursuit of money and economic growth are affecting those natural rhythms. We understand that. In a biblical perspective, the years also have given us rhythm. In the Old Testament, the 7th year was the year for the land to rest. There was also a rhythm of reconciliation and justice that meant every 49 years debts should be cancelled. And a state of equilibrium should be made, and shalom and peace should be restored. All those rhythms that one can see. But we live in a time when neither people and the earth are not rested. We don't have time to recover. Rest is not valued as it should be. And what we need to do is we need to claim that commandment. We need to reclaim that commandment of the Sabbath more than ever, because it's something that humanity and creation desperately need. Walter Brueggemann, who's one of my favourite writers, sees the celebration of Sabbath as an act of both resistance and an alternative. He says, and I quote, It is resistance because it is a visible insistence that our lives are not defined by the production and consumption of commodity goods. And he goes on to say, it is an alternative to the demanding, chattering, pervasive presence of advertising. You know, God commanded us to observe the Sabbath because God knows what's good for us, what's best for us, how we can thrive. And today we need his voice to be heard more than ever. Amen. And I'll see you on Thursday. And you'll see me on Thursday. I won't see you. I'll see you. You'll see me on Thursday. So take care. Look after yourselves, and God bless. Bye-bye.